I saw the announcement on her law firm's website. Jennifer Hayes Montgomery married David Montgomery III at the Ritz-Carlton. I counted 40 partners and associates in the photos. Her father wasn't mentioned anywhere. The next morning, I called the bank and demanded immediate payment on the $180,000 in student loans I co-signed. That was Tuesday. By Friday, she was calling me in tears, begging me to stop. But I didn't stop. If this story breaks your heart, subscribe. Every day there's a story that could be yours. 4:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep, so I did what old men do when insomnia hits. I made coffee and turned on my laptop, the one Jennifer set up for me 3 years ago after her mother died. "Dad, you need to stay connected," she said, kissing my forehead like I was a child. "I'll set up your email and everything." I was scrolling through my email, deleting spam about cheap medications and lottery winnings, when I saw the Google alert. I had set it up to track her name because I was proud. Robert Hayes' daughter, Jennifer Hayes, making partner at Morrison and Associates. I wanted to see every article, every mention, every achievement. The alert said, Jennifer Hayes Montgomery featured in Morrison and Associates announcement. Hayes Montgomery. I stared at that hyphenated name for a full minute before clicking the link. The law firm's website loaded slowly on my old laptop, and there it was. A banner across the top of the page. Congratulations to Senior Associate Jennifer Hayes Montgomery and David Montgomery III on their recent marriage. Below the text was a photo gallery. I clicked on it with shaking hands. The first photo showed Jennifer in an ivory gown, elegant, expensive, the kind of dress her mother and I could never have afforded. David stood next to her in a black tuxedo, his arm around her waist. They were both smiling that smile you see in magazines. Perfect, practiced, cold. I scrolled to the next photo. A grand ballroom with crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, tables draped in gold linens. I counted them. 1, 2, 3, 10 tables. 8 people per table, 80 guests, minimum. Next photo. The Montgomery family. David's father, distinguished gray hair, $1,000 suit. His mother, diamonds that could pay my rent for 5 years. David's 2 brothers, their wives, all of them looking like they walked out of a country club catalog. They stood around Jennifer like she was one of them, like she belonged. I kept scrolling, my coffee going cold next to me. Jennifer cutting a 5-tier wedding cake. Jennifer dancing with David. Jennifer surrounded by women in designer dresses, probably David's family and friends. Jennifer toasting with champagne in crystal glasses that caught the light like they were made of pure ice. I looked for myself in every photo. I zoomed in. I searched the backgrounds. Every day there's a story that could be yours. 4:30 in the morning. I couldn't sleep, so I did what old men do when insomnia hits. I made coffee and turned on my laptop, the one Jennifer set up for me 3 years ago after her mother died. "Dad, you need to stay connected," she said, kissing my forehead like I was a child. "I'll set up your email and everything." I was scrolling through my email, deleting spam about cheap medications and lottery winnings, when I saw the Google alert, and I knew nothing. I read the announcement again, looking for any mention of me. Jennifer Hayes Montgomery, daughter of the late Susan Hayes. My wife's name was there, dead 5 years now from breast cancer. But my name, the living parent, not there. I scrolled down to the comments section. Colleagues congratulating them. "Beautiful couple, so happy for you both. Welcome to the Montgomery family, Jennifer." One comment caught my eye. From someone named Victoria Montgomery, probably David's sister. "So wonderful to finally have Jennifer officially part of our family. David is lucky to have found someone who shares our values." Our values. I read that phrase 5 times. What values? The value of excluding your own father? The value of being ashamed of where you came from? My name is Robert Hayes. I'm 67 years old. I worked as an electrician for 43 years, crawling through attics in August heat, working in freezing crawl spaces in January, breathing in insulation, dust, and God knows what else. I have scars on my hands from wire cuts. I have burn marks from live circuits I touched by accident. My knees are shot from kneeling on concrete floors. My back hurts every morning when I get out of bed. I did all of that for one reason. For Jennifer. When she was 7, she came home with a form for advanced placement testing. The teacher thinks I'm smart, Daddy, she said, her eyes bright. But there's a fee. It's $200 for the test. $200 was half my paycheck that week. We needed that money for the electric bill and groceries. But I looked at my daughter's face, at that hope in her eyes, and I said, "You take that test, sweetheart. You're going to do great." I picked up extra shifts that month. I worked 6 days a week instead of 5. I ate peanut butter sandwiches for lunch instead of buying from the food truck. But Jennifer took that test, and she passed with the highest score in the district. When she was in high school, she told us she wanted to be a lawyer. Not a paralegal, not a legal secretary. A lawyer. That meant college and law school. That meant money we didn't have. Susan and I sat at the kitchen table one night, doing the math. How are we going to pay for college? Our savings account had $8,000. College would cost $40,000 a year. Law school even more. "I'll take out loans," I said. "I'll co-sign whatever she needs. I'll work until I'm 80 if that's what it takes." And I did. Jennifer got into state university with a partial scholarship. We paid the rest with loans, $20,000 a year for 4 years. Then law school, another $30,000 a year for 3 years. When it was all added up, Jennifer had $180,000 in student loan debt. The bank required a co-signer. Jennifer was 22 with no credit history, no job. They wouldn't give her that much money without someone guaranteeing it. So I co-signed. I put my name on the line. I promised the bank that if Jennifer couldn't pay, I would. Jennifer graduated law school at 25. She passed the bar on her first try. She got hired at Morrison & Associates, one of the best corporate law firms in the state. Susan and I drove 3 hours to her graduation. We sat in the audience, me in my one good suit that was 15 years old. Susan in a dress we bought at a discount store. We clapped until our hands hurt when they called Jennifer's name. After the ceremony, Jennifer found us in the crowd. She hugged us both, tears in her eyes. "I did it," she said. "I couldn't have done it without you." "I know, baby girl. I know." Susan died 2 years later. Breast cancer that came out of nowhere and took her in 14 months. Jennifer came to the hospital 3 times during those 14 months. Once when we first got the diagnosis. Once when Susan was in intensive care. And once the day Susan died, arriving 2 hours after she took her last breath. I sat by Susan's bed every single day. I held her hand. I wiped her forehead. I told her stories about when we first met, about when Jennifer was born, about all the good years we had. And Susan kept asking, "Where's Jennifer?" "She's busy, honey. She's working on a big case. She'll come when she can." But Jennifer didn't come. She sent flowers. She sent cards. She called sometimes. Quick conversations where I could hear her typing in the background. But she didn't come sit with her dying mother. At the funeral, Jennifer cried. She gave a eulogy about how much Susan meant to her, about what a good mother she was. People nodded and dabbed their eyes. After the service, Jennifer hugged me and said, "I'm so sorry, Dad. I should have been there more." Yes, I thought, you should have. But I didn't say it out loud because she was my daughter, and I loved her, and I thought grief made people act strange. I thought after some time passed, things would go back to normal. They didn't. After Susan's funeral, Jennifer started visiting less. Before, she'd come once a month, stay for dinner, tell us about her cases. After the funeral, it became every 2 months. Then every 3 months. Then only on holidays. Her phone calls got shorter too. Before Susan died, Jennifer would call once a week, talk for 30 minutes, ask about my health, tell me about her work. After Susan died, the calls came once every 2 weeks, lasted maybe 5 minutes. "How are you, Dad?" "I'm good, sweetheart." "How are you?" "Busy, really busy. Work is crazy right now. I miss you. Miss you too, Dad. I'll call you soon." "Okay, baby girl. I love you. Love you too." Click. 2 years after Susan died, Jennifer called me on a Sunday afternoon. "Dad, I want you to meet someone. I've been seeing someone. His name is David." My heart lifted. My daughter, my Jennifer, had found someone. "Of course, sweetheart. Bring him by the house. I'll make dinner." There was a pause. "Actually, Dad, let's meet at a restaurant. Somewhere nice. David's family has high standards, and I want to make a good impression." David's family. Not you want to make a good impression on me. His family? We met at Chez Philippe, a French restaurant downtown where the cheapest entree cost $40. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing my best shirt and khakis. The host looked at me like I was lost. Reservation? He asked, his voice dripping with doubt. I'm meeting my daughter, Jennifer Hayes. His expression changed slightly. Ah, yes, Miss Hayes and party. Right this way. He led me to a table in the corner. I sat down and looked at the menu. Every dish had a French name I couldn't pronounce. Prices weren't listed, which I learned later meant everything was extremely expensive. Jennifer arrived 20 minutes later. She wasn't alone. A man walked beside her, tall, dark hair, perfectly styled, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Behind them walked two older people. The man was in his 60s, silver hair, commanding presence. The woman was elegant, pearls, designer handbag. Dad, Jennifer said, her voice tight, this is David, and these are his parents, Richard and Catherine Montgomery. I stood up, offering my hand. Nice to meet you all. I'm Robert. David shook my hand with a grip that was just a little too firm, like he was trying to establish dominance. His father nodded curtly. His mother looked me up and down the way you'd inspect a used car you weren't sure you wanted to buy. We sat. The waiter came immediately, addressing David's father as Mr. Montgomery like they knew each other. The Montgomerys ordered wine I'd never heard of, talking about vintages and regions. I ordered water. So Robert, Richard Montgomery said, leaning back in his chair like he owned the place. Jennifer tells us, you're an electrician. Was, I said. I'm retired now. 43 years, right? David chimed in, but there was something in his voice. Not respect, not curiosity, something else. Must have been hard work. It was, I said, but it paid the bills, put Jennifer through school. There was a moment of silence. Catherine Montgomery sipped her wine. Richard cleared his throat. Well, David said, changing the subject smoothly, Dad's firm handles most of the corporate law in the tri-state area. We were just telling Jennifer about opportunities at Montgomery and Associates. Montgomery and Associates, not Morrison and Associates, where Jennifer worked, his family's firm. The dinner was excruciating. The Montgomerys talked about their summer home in the Hamptons, their ski trips to Aspen, their connections with senators and CEOs. Jennifer nodded along, laughing at their jokes, agreeing with their opinions. She looked at David the way you look at someone you're trying to impress. And me? I sat there with my water and my cheap shirt, trying to keep up with conversations about things I'd never experienced, places I'd never been, people I'd never meet. When the check came, I reached for my wallet. Let me get this. David's hand shot out, stopping me. No need, Robert, I've got it. He pulled out a black credit card and handed it to the waiter without even looking at the total. The way you pay for something that means nothing to you. After dinner, in the parking lot, Jennifer hugged me goodbye. Thanks for coming, Dad. I'm glad I got to meet David, I said. He seems nice. He is, she said. But she wouldn't meet my eyes. I'll call you soon. She didn't call for 6 weeks. Over the next year, Jennifer drifted further away. Her visits stopped completely. Her phone calls came once a month, sometimes less. And when we did talk, it felt forced, like she was checking a box on a to-do list. Call Dad. Done. I tried to stay connected. I sent her birthday cards. I called on holidays. I asked about her life, her work, her relationship with David. She gave me short answers, always sounding distracted, always in a hurry to end the conversation. One evening I called her just to hear her voice. Jennifer, I said when she answered. How are you, sweetheart? Dad, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you back? When? Later. I'll call you later. She didn't call back. 3 months before I found the wedding announcement, I got sick. Really sick. Pneumonia hit me hard, probably from years of breathing in insulation dust and working in damp crawl spaces. I spent 5 days in bed with a fever of 103, barely able to get up to use the bathroom. I called Jennifer on day 2. Sweetheart, I said, my voice hoarse. I'm not doing well. I have pneumonia. The doctor said if it gets worse, I might need to go to the hospital. Oh no, Dad. That's terrible. There was typing in the background. Listen, make sure you rest and drink fluids. If you need to go to the hospital, go. I'll check in with you soon. Jennifer, I really feel awful. I'm here alone. And, Dad, I have to run. I'm sorry. Take care of yourself. Love you. Click. She didn't check in. Not the next day. Not the day after. I lay in that bed for 5 days, delirious with fever, thinking, this might be it. This might be how I die. Alone in this apartment, with my daughter too busy to visit. On day 6, the fever broke. I survived. And I didn't call her to tell her. I wanted to see how long it would take for her to check on me. 3 weeks passed before she called. Hey, Dad, just checking in. How are you? I'm fine, I said. The coldness in my voice must have registered because she paused. Everything okay? I was sick. Bad pneumonia. I thought I might die. Oh my God, Dad. Why didn't you tell me? I did tell you. You said you'd check in. You never did. Silence. I've just been swamped, Dad. You know how it is. Work has been insane. Too busy to check if your father is alive. That's not fair, isn't it? We didn't talk for another month after that. And then came October 14th, the day she got married without telling me. Sitting at my kitchen table at 4:30 in the morning, looking at those wedding photos, I finally understood. I wasn't part of her life anymore. I was a liability, an embarrassment. The blue-collar father who didn't fit into her new world of corporate lawyers and investment bankers and country clubs. I made myself another cup of coffee and sat there until the sun came up, staring at those photos, counting the guests, reading the comments. Montgomery this, Montgomery that. Welcome to the family, Jennifer. She had a new family now. The Montgomerys. Rich, connected, sophisticated, everything I wasn't. At 8 in the morning, I picked up my phone. My hands were steady. I wasn't angry. I wasn't sad. I was clear. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I called Jennifer's number. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Her professional voice, "You've reached Jennifer Hayes. Please leave a message." "Jennifer," I said, "it's your father. We need to talk. Call me back today." She didn't call. Not that day. Not the next day. 3 days passed before my phone finally rang. "Hey, Dad." Her voice was tight, defensive. "Sorry. I've been on my honeymoon." Honeymoon. The word hit me like a punch. Honeymoon after a wedding I didn't know about. After vows I didn't witness. "I saw the announcement," I said. "On the firm's website. Congratulations." Silence on her end. Heavy. Guilty. "Dad, I can explain." "Explain what? That you got married and didn't tell me? That you invited 80 people but not your own father? It wasn't like that. It was complicated. Complicated how? David's family, they wanted something small. Family only. I am family, Jennifer. I'm your father." I know, Dad. Her voice cracked. "I didn't know how to tell you. I knew you'd be upset. So you didn't tell me at all. You let me find out on the internet. I'm sorry. I really am. But you have to understand, David's family has expectations. There's a certain image they maintain, a certain level of—" I interrupted her. "A certain level I don't meet." That's not what I was going to say. But that's what you mean. I don't fit. Your electrician father doesn't fit with the Montgomerys. Dad, please don't make this harder than it already is. Harder for who? For you? I asked. Jennifer, do you remember who co-signed your student loans? Do you remember who guaranteed $180,000 so you could become a lawyer? I know, and I'm grateful. I've told you that. Have you? When? When you didn't visit your dying mother? When you didn't check on me when I had pneumonia? When you got married without inviting me? I heard her breathing change. She was crying. Dad, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. But you can't hold that over my head forever. I'm not holding it over your head, I said calmly. I'm just reminding you that actions have consequences. What does that mean? It means I need some time to think. I'll call you later. I hung up before she could respond. I sat at my kitchen table for 3 hours, thinking. Not about revenge, not about punishment, about dignity, about self-respect, about what happens when you give everything to someone who decides you're worthless. Susan and I sacrificed so much for Jennifer. We drove old cars while she had new textbooks. We lived in a small apartment while she studied in a nice dorm. We ate cheap meals while she had a meal plan. We did it happily because she was our daughter, and we wanted her to have opportunities we never had. But somewhere along the way, Jennifer learned the wrong lesson. She learned that our sacrifice meant nothing, that we meant nothing, that she could take everything we gave her and never look back, never acknowledge where she came from, never honor the people who made her success possible. The house Susan and I lived in for 30 years, we had to take out a second mortgage on it to help pay for Jennifer's last year of law school. The bank was reluctant to give us the loan. "You're already stretched thin," the loan officer said. "Are you sure about this?" "I'm sure," I said. "It's for my daughter's education." We paid off that second mortgage 2 months before Susan died. Barely made it. At 9 in the morning, I called my bank. I asked to speak to someone about the student loans I co-signed. The representative pulled up my account. "Yes, Mr. Hayes. You're the co-signer on loans totaling $183,412. The borrower is Jennifer Hayes. Current payment status is in good standing. What happens if I want to call the loans due immediately?" "Sir, as a co-signer, you don't have the authority to." "What if I stop agreeing to be the co-signer? What if I want to remove my name?" "That would require the primary borrower to either pay off the balance in full or refinance with a different co-signer. If she's unable to do either within the grace period, the loans would go into default." "How long is the grace period?" 30 days. I thought about Jennifer, making good money now as a senior associate, married to a wealthy investment banker, probably had a nice savings account, a good investment portfolio, but $183,000 liquid? That would hurt. That would require selling assets, maybe even that nice townhouse I heard she bought with David. "I want to initiate that process," I said. "I want to remove myself as co-signer." "Sir, I have to inform you that if the borrower cannot find an alternative and the loans default, it will severely impact both your credit and hers." "I understand." "And you still want to proceed?" "Yes." The representative transferred me to another department. I spent the next 2 hours on the phone, filling out forms, confirming my identity, stating my reasons. By noon, it was done. Jennifer had 30 days to either pay off the loans in full or find someone else to co-sign. If she couldn't, the loans would default, and the bank would take legal action to recover the money. I hung up the phone and sat in silence. No guilt, no second thoughts. Just peace. My phone rang 2 days later. It was Jennifer. Her voice was shaking. "What did you do? What the hell did you do, Dad?" "I removed myself as your co-signer." The bank called me. They said I have 30 days to pay $183,000 or find a new co-signer. "You know I can't do that." "Why can't you? You're a lawyer at a prestigious firm. You're married to an investment banker. Surely between you and David you can handle it." "David and I just bought a house. Our savings are tied up. We can't just pull out almost $200,000, then find someone else to co-sign." "Who?" Her voice rose. "Who am I supposed to ask? How about your new family? The Montgomerys. They seem to have plenty of money. Ask Richard. Ask Catherine. I'm sure they'd be happy to help their new daughter-in-law." Silence. Long and heavy. "They won't," she finally said. "David's parents don't believe in co-signing loans. They think everyone should be financially independent." "How convenient," I said. "So they can welcome you into their family, but they won't actually help you when you need it." "This isn't fair, Dad. You're punishing me because I didn't invite you to my wedding." "No," I said. "I'm not punishing you. I'm just no longer volunteering to be responsible for your choices. You made it very clear that I'm not part of your life anymore. So why should I remain tied to your financial obligations?" "I needed you," she said, her voice breaking. "When Mom died, when I was struggling in law school, when I was studying for the bar, I needed that support. You can't just take it away now." "You needed me then," I said quietly. "But you don't need me now. You have David. You have the Montgomerys. If she couldn't, the loans would default, and the bank would take legal action to recover the money." I hung up the phone and sat in silence. No guilt, no second thoughts. Just peace. My phone rang 2 days later. It was Jennifer. Her voice was shaking. What did you do? What the hell did you do, Dad? I removed myself as your co-signer. The bank called me. They said I have 30 days to pay $183,000 or find a new co-signer. You know I can't do that. Jennifer, I said, and my voice was calm, steady. For years, I gave you everything. My time, my money, my health. I worked myself into the ground so you could have a better life. And what did I get in return? Nothing, not even an invitation to your wedding. I'll make it up to you, I promise. I'll visit more. I'll call every week. I'll include you in everything from now on. Just please, please don't let these loans default. I'm not letting them default, I said. You are. You have 30 days to figure it out. Talk to David, talk to his parents, take out a home equity loan, sell some assets. You're a smart lawyer. I'm sure you'll find a solution. Dad, wait. I hung up. My phone rang 17 times over the next hour. I let it go to voicemail. Jennifer's messages ranged from angry to desperate to threatening. You're destroying my life. How can you do this to me? I'll never forgive you for this. Please, Dad, please pick up. I need you. I deleted each message without listening to the full thing. That evening, David called. His voice was cold, controlled. Mr. Hayes, this is David Montgomery. I think we need to have a conversation. I have nothing to say to you, David. You're making a mistake. Jennifer is your daughter. What you're doing is cruel and unnecessary. What I'm doing, I said, is setting a boundary. Something I should have done years ago. If you don't reverse this decision, there will be consequences. My family has lawyers. Very good lawyers. I'm sure they do. Feel free to have them contact me, but the decision stands. You'll regret this. No, I said. I don't think I will. I hung up on him too. The next day, Catherine Montgomery called. Her voice was smooth, practiced, like she was used to getting her way. Robert, this is Catherine Montgomery, David's mother. I believe we need to discuss this situation with Jennifer's loans. There's nothing to discuss, Mrs. Montgomery. I understand you're upset about the wedding. It was handled poorly, but surely we can come to some arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Well, perhaps if you agree to reinstate yourself as co-signer, we could discuss including you more in future family events. I laughed. Actually laughed out loud. You want to buy my cooperation with the promise of invitations? That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. And the answer is no. You have 30 days to figure it out. Talk to David, talk to his parents, take out a home equity loan, sell some assets. You're a smart lawyer. I'm sure you'll find a solution. Dad, wait. I hung up. My phone rang 17 times over the next hour. I let it go to voicemail. Jennifer's messages ranged from angry to desperate to threatening. You're destroying my life. How can you do this to me? I'll never forgive you for this. Please, Dad, please pick up. I need you. Hair not perfectly styled. Clothes wrinkled. She'd been crying. Dad, please. Can we talk? I let her in. She sat on my old couch, the same couch she'd sat on as a child, doing homework while Susan cooked dinner. I don't know what to do, she said, her voice small. The bank won't give me more time. David's parents won't help. We'd have to sell the house, and even then we might not have enough. I sat across from her in my worn armchair, the same chair I'd sat in when she was little, reading her bedtime stories. Jennifer, I said quietly, do you know what it felt like to find out about your wedding on a website? She looked down at her hands. Do you know what it felt like to be sick, thinking I might die, and you couldn't even call back? I'm sorry, she whispered. Do you know what it felt like to realize my own daughter was ashamed of me? She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I wasn't ashamed. Yes, you were. You are. I don't fit into your new life. Your electrician father with his cheap clothes and his small apartment and his working-class way of talking. I embarrass you in front of the Montgomerys. That's not true. Then why wasn't I at your wedding, Jennifer? Tell me the real reason. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. Because, she finally said, her voice barely audible, David's parents asked me not to invite you. They said it would be awkward, that our backgrounds were too different, that it would be better to keep it small. And you agreed. I didn't want to lose David. So you lost me instead. She sobbed. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made the wrong choice. I've made so many wrong choices. But please don't do this. Please don't ruin my life. I'm not ruining your life, Jennifer. I'm just no longer saving it. There's a difference. She looked at me with those eyes. The same eyes that looked up at me when she was 7, asking if she could take that advanced placement test. The same eyes that looked at me at her law school graduation, telling me she couldn't have done it without me. But now those eyes belonged to someone I didn't recognize. Someone who chose a man's family over her own father. Someone who valued status over love. You have 2 weeks left, I said. You're a smart woman, a lawyer. Figure it out. She stood up slowly. If you do this, we're done. You know that, right? We'll never have a relationship again. Jennifer, I said, we haven't had a relationship for 2 years. This just makes it official. She walked to the door, turned back one more time. I hope you're happy, she said bitterly. I'm not happy, I said, but I'm at peace, and that's more than I've had in a long time. She left. I sat in my apartment, in the silence, and I felt something I hadn't felt since the day I found those wedding photos. Relief. 2 days before the deadline, Jennifer called. I found a solution, she said. No greeting, no pleasantries, just business. David and I are selling the townhouse. His parents agreed to loan us the difference, interest-free. We'll pay off the student loans in full. That's good, I said. I'm glad you figured it out. We're going to lose money on the house. We're going to have to rent now, start over. But at least my credit won't be destroyed. I'm sorry it came to that. No, you're not. You're right, I said. I'm not. Silence? I meant what I said, Dad. We're done. Don't call me. Don't try to contact me. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a father anymore. Jennifer, I said, you stopped having a father the day you got married without inviting me. This just makes it official. She hung up. The student loans were paid off 3 days later. $183,000 settled in full. I received a notification from the bank. My obligation as co-signer was terminated. I was free. I sat in my apartment that evening, watching the sun set through my window. The same view I'd had for 30 years. The same small space where Susan and I raised Jennifer. Where we ate dinner at a card table because we couldn't afford a real dining set. Where we slept on a mattress on the floor for 2 years because we were saving for Jennifer's college fund. This apartment wasn't much, but it was mine. Paid for with honest work. No one could take it from me. I thought about Jennifer. About the little girl who used to sit on my lap while I read her books. About the teenager who hugged me when she got her college acceptance letter. About the young woman who cried at her law school graduation, thanking me for everything. Where did that girl go? She disappeared into ambition, into status, into a world that valued money over loyalty. And maybe I had enabled it. Maybe by sacrificing so much, by never asking for anything in return, I taught her that my love had no value because it came for free. But I couldn't change the past. I could only decide who I wanted to be going forward. I wanted to be someone who knew his worth, someone who wouldn't beg for love from people who didn't value him, someone who understood that dignity isn't something you can compromise, even for your own child. If you're listening to my story, tell me where you're watching from. Sometimes knowing there are people out there who understand makes the loneliness a little easier to bear. I haven't heard from Jennifer since that last phone call. No birthday card, no Christmas call, no random text asking how I'm doing. She meant what she said. To her, I no longer exist. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because I learned something important. You can give someone everything, your time, your money, your health, your unconditional love, and they can still decide you're not good enough. They can still choose something else over you. And when that happens, you have a choice. You can keep begging, keep giving, keep hoping they'll finally see your worth. Or you can walk away with whatever dignity you have left. I chose dignity. Did it cost me my daughter? Yes. Did it cost me the relationship I always thought we'd have? Yes. But what I got in return was something more valuable. I got myself back. I got the part of me that had been eroded by years of being invisible, years of being taken for granted, years of being treated like an obligation instead of a person. I'm 67 years old. I live in a small apartment. I eat simple meals. I watch TV most evenings. I don't have much, but I have my self-respect. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that truly belongs to you. Everything else, money, relationships, even family, can be taken away. But your dignity? That's yours to keep or yours to give away. I chose to keep mine. Some people will tell you I was wrong, that family is forever, that a father should forgive anything, that I should have been the bigger person. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should have let it go. Maybe I should have swallowed my hurt and stayed silent and continued being the father she called when she needed something but forgot the rest of the time. But I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't keep pretending that being erased from my own daughter's life was acceptable as long as I still got an occasional phone call. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes it means setting a boundary, even when that boundary costs you everything. I think Susan would understand. She was always stronger than me in those ways. She knew when to hold on and when to let go. She knew that love without respect isn't really love at all. So here I am, alone but at peace, missing my daughter but not missing the feeling of being worthless in her eyes, grieving the relationship we could have had but grateful I finally stood up for myself. If you're in a similar situation, if someone in your life treats you like you're disposable, I want you to know something. You deserve better. You deserve to be valued. You deserve relationships where your presence matters, not just what you can provide. And if walking away is the only way to get that respect, then walk away. It will hurt. God, it will hurt. But living without dignity hurts more. Being someone's afterthought hurts more. Loving people who don't love you back hurts more. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your dignity. It's the hardest choice you'll ever make. But it's also the most important one. What would you have done? Would you have done what I did? Or would you have kept sacrificing, kept hoping, kept waiting for a daughter who had already moved on? Leave a comment, tell me your story. Subscribe to Sleek Vengeance if you want to hear more stories like this. Stories about real people who finally said enough. Because sometimes enough is enough. And sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do.